I'll go ahead and start. I was born in 1972. I'm 54 years old now. And I was born in Fullerton, California. And at that time, my family was really religious. I grew up religious. I remember, as a kid, going to Melody Land, which was over by Disneyland at the time. And it was like a big church, and, it was a big old, like, amusement park daycare for the kids. I remember seeing plays and, playing games and, coloring scriptures of, the Bible stories and things of that nature. It wasn't until I was, my mom got pregnant at 14, had me at 15, and I don't know what it was. My dad was young, moved us out of it. But, so seeing the knife really didn't bother me. It was the fact that he's taking my bike. How am I going to explain that to my mom? My mom's going to kill me. She saved up, I'm dead, or I'm gonna be unalive, So I was like, man, so I was like, nah, I gave him my bag of candy. You could have that, gave him what was left of my quarters. You can have that. You ain't taking my bike. And he ended up swinging towards me and pulling the bike at the same time. So I let go as I'm jumping back, and he pops on the bike and he starts to ride, and he sees that it's flat. So he kind of hops off the bike and he looks back at me, and I'm just standing there, and he starts to walk off. So I'm like, all right, thinking, what can I do? Well, what am I going to do? And I'm looking around, and it must have been, I want to say maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And there were times where I would get hit in the chest or the back, you know what I mean? And, thank God that the vest stopped it, you know what I mean? I have still some scars underneath my armpit where one time I got hit with a shotgun, and I literally flew, I don't know, I want to say 15, 20 feet, and literally knocked out where they thought I was gone, and coming to, I don't know, it seemed like maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes, of being just laid out, and coming to just this agony in my chest, and, but still, reaching for my strap and, seeing them still. So, just firing back and them taking off, and, going back to my house and, looking,